This is our first warm-up vibe coding application. So in this application, we will create a math calculator, a web math calculator. We will not only create the calculator, we will influence the user interface and ask the vibe coding app to make it look like an iPhone application. Then we will add some AI capabilities and where a professor like voice will explain what you just did. For example, if you did 15 into 8 is 120, then the professor will come and explain what that is. Obviously, we don't need anyone to explain 15 into 1 into 8, but if it were a more complex calculation, then you can ask an AI to explain what happened, and then you can ask a professor to voice it over, like as if you're in a class. It's a fun application. So let's first look at the application, and then we will go and actually build it. Then I'll give you the prompt, and then you will go and build this application yourself as a warm-up activity. Let's start with the demo of this. So 15 into 8 is 120. All right, that is a regular calculator. And then let's just say explain this calculation. How is 15 into 8 120? And it says to calculate 15 by 8, first multiply 15 by 10, you get 150, then subtract 15 into 2, which is 30 from 150 to get the final result 120. And let's say and how did this come about? Because we used an OpenAI API to call the LLM. We called GPT-4o, which is one of the LLMs, one of the models, and we said explain. I just did a calculation. 15 times 8 is 120. Explain this to me and keep it brief. So this is the result that we got, and then we are displaying it here. Then to read this aloud, we will then pass this text to 11 Labs, which is a text to speech service provider, via their API, and then ask them to give the audio back. So let's read that aloud.
To calculate 15x8, first multiply 15 by 10 to get 150, then subtract 15x2, which is 30, from 150 to get the final result of 120.
Okay. So what we have done so far is a pretty sophisticated application, even though it looks like a simple warm-up. So let's go and see, okay, how did we create this? How long did it take? What are the skills and capabilities and know-how we should have to create an app like this? So let's start from scratch. So I am going to say create a basic calculator app in a browser. It should allow the user to input two numbers and choose an operation, get a result, display the result on the page, keep the design simple and clean. And I'm going to say start chat. Start chat means you're chatting with um, your vibe coding app. Think of your vibe coding app as your Scrum team. It is literally like talking to your engineers and your architects. So it has built the application. It says I redesigned the calculator to look exactly like an iPhone calculator app with these features. And it explains all the things that it does. And then it says the calculator now works like an iPhone version. You can tap numbers and select operators. So let's check it out. So let's try the same thing. 15 into 8 is equal to 120. All right. But then in the demo that we saw initially, we saw that explain the calculation button um, appearing at the bottom. So we haven't added that yet. So let's go ahead and add that. Um, and I'll give feedback to this saying this works well. This works well. I would like to add, or I want to add, an explain calculation button when when the user clicks on the button, use AI to explain the recent calculation. So I'm not using any um, user story or use case format. I'm just using plain English as if I'm talking to an engineer. It still has to be accurate. It still has to be clear and concise, but it doesn't have to be in any specific format. So let's just read this again. This I said this works well. I want to add an explain calculation button. I can put it under quotes just to make sure that it understands. When the user clicks on the button, use AI to explain the recent calculation, and I'll say and display it as a display the text, display the explanation. I think it'll automatically display, but I just want to make sure. So let's just say ask it to do that, and then it'll most likely um, confirm certain things, review my message, and then confirm certain things. Now, something interesting is happening, right? It is integrating with OpenAI, and then it is installing the necessary OpenAI libraries, and then it's telling me what it's going to do. It says I'll add an explain calculation button, and and then it says, oh, to connect with OpenAI, I need an OpenAI key because this will be a unique key. Because I need the key to connect with OpenAI, and you need to give me this key, and this is how you can go and get this key from there. Go to openai.platform.com. But you know how to get it already. We saw that in the previous videos. So you go there, get the key, and you would have stored that key in a secure place, in a private document. Bring that key, paste it here, and then say continue. I have already pasted the key here, so I'm going to say continue. And it says now I'll implement the AI explanation feature. First, I'll create an API endpoint for generating explanations, then update the calculator interface to include the explanation buttons and display. I mean, this is the part where um, you get to see how an engineering colleague, or in this case, the vibe coding tool, thinks, because it is thinking aloud and it is explaining what it is doing. You may not understand everything that it is doing. For example, it might say, I'm opening a server. And if you're not a programmer, you may not understand that, but that's okay. As you wipe code, you will become slowly and steadily knowledgeable about many of the things your engineering colleagues do. And I believe that you will develop a sense of appreciation for what they do. So that's such a soft part of or that's the side benefit of vibe coding. You develop a sense of appreciation for what your engineering colleagues do, and hopefully you will develop a sense of trust and respect for what they do. It says that it has successfully added the AI explanation feature to the iPhone calculator, and it is asking me to test it. So let's test it. So say 15 into 8, same calculation. And then this explain calculation button shows up. Let's see if it explains it. Yeah, it does. So it reads out it is explaining how 15 into 8 is 120. And I think it is a little long, so I'm going to say make the explanation brief. And I'm not going to say any specific characters. Okay, it says that it has made the explanation brief. Let's try the same thing again. 15 into 8 is 120 and explain calculation. Now it's calling OpenAI, and as instructed, it is making the explanation brief. So this should give you a sense of how you can interact with it and how you can make modifications for your application. Now the next thing I want to do is I want someone to read out the explanation or to read it out loud. So I'm going to say that I want a feature that reads out the explanation. Okay, I'll just say use 11 labs, 11 labs voice, 11 labs text to voice capabilities to do this. And let's try something. I'm also going to say use a female voice. Let's see what it does. So it's reviewing my message, and it says I'll add 11 labs text to speech functionality to read out the explanation with a female voice. First, I need a 11 labs API key from me. So the same thing, similar to an API key for OpenAI, we need an API key for 11 labs. So um, we already saw how to create an API key at 11 labs. So get the key. It is a secret key. You should keep it in a secure place. Get the key and paste it here, which I have already done. I'm going to say continue. Okay, it has successfully added the voice narration to the calculate explanations. The new feature includes a female voice narration using 11 Labs AI, audio speaker button, visual feedback when audio is playing, automatic cleanup of audio resources, and so on. And it is asking me to test it out. Let's try out the same thing again. Or maybe try something different, 25 into 6, 150, explain calculation. So the AI explanation is here, and then there is an audio icon here. Let's listen to that.
To calculate 25x6, multiply 25 by 6, which equals 150.
Okay. So that's how the capabilities work. So to summarize, what we did is pretty sophisticated. We created a calculator app, then we added AI capabilities that explain the calculation that just happened, and we used OpenAI for that. And then we used the voice AI capabilities powered by 11 Labs using their APIs to convert that text into voice. So even though this is a warm-up application, we did some very sophisticated things in this application. So what I would request you to do is take the prompt that is there in the lesson and go and build this app yourself.